This interview will be video audio recorded and will form part of Veteranos, Sacramento's Mexican American Servicemen Oral History Project that will be housed here at the Center for Sacramento History. Do you agree to this recording?
Yes.
Today is November 27, 2023, 2:04 p.m., and we're here at the Center for Sacramento History. Can you please state your full name and spell it?
J-O-E, Joe Ortiz, J-O-E, Venegas, V-E-N-E-G-A-S, Ortiz, O-R-T-I-Z.
Great. And please provide your date of birth, including month, date, and year.
November 21, 1922.
Happy birthday. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
And how old are you?
I'm 102 years old.
101.
I'm 101, that's right.
101. And what is your marital status?
My wife passed away about 10 years ago, and we were married for 68 years.
That's great. What was her name?
Consuelo Garcia Ortiz.
Okay. How many children do you have?
I have actually, I'm gonna kind of name it. Okay, there's Josie Ortiz. She passed away not too long ago, at the age of 68 years old. My son Daniel, he's a retired military first sergeant, Vietnam. And then there's Linda. She's about 68 years old. And then there's Esther. And then my granddaughter, Chris.
Mm-hmm. All right. Where were you born and raised?
I was born in El Paso, Texas. And there I was the original. I don't consider myself like a nickname. I give you my name, but I'm actually a redneck gringo.
Okay, why do you say that?
Well, you know what? Actually, people tend to separate themselves from your identity, and on top of that, we're not Americans. I mean, if you're a Mexican from Mexican descent, you're not American. Your parents were Mexican, but if they were born here, they're American citizens.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother did become an American citizen. Also my father, my two older brothers.
Mm-hmm. So, excuse me, you were born in El Paso, Texas.
El Paso.
And were you raised there as well, or?
No, I was born there, and I'm a Southerner. I'm a Southerner because we're more or less it's a Southern state, and also because the fact is that I respect all nationalities that were born in the South.
Okay. And how did you get to Sacramento?
In 1958, well, first of all, I worked for the government. I started very early working for the government. And in 1958, I was transferred from Southern California to McAllen Air Force Base. And while there, I was also a reservist. I joined different units. I put 68 years in the Texas military.
In the military. Okay, so can you tell me a little bit about how it was for you growing up?
Yeah, you know, we just had a big fire in Southern California. It was Ramona Boulevard, which is I-10 now, and we used to pedal our bikes to San Bernardino, because there was something that's not special. Can I say what it was there?
Mm-hmm.
There was women uh, more or less a recruit. That's the proper word.
A brothel? Yes.
It was a little over. Yeah. And then I also was I traveled back and forth, and then also I was there's a Death Valley, Shoshone. Yeah, at the entrance, I spent 6 months in Death Valley, attached to the Civilian Conservation Corps.
Okay.
As a youth program. They call it a CCC.
The CCC. So did you go to high school?
Yes, I graduated from. I'll start. When I was in grammar school, first of all, was in my neighborhood. There was a neighborhood like this, and we all grew up there. My parents came from Mexico, and I started school at Hamel Street. That's the name of the street, the school. And when I was there, I was kind of like I guess I wanted attention or something. But I on a daily basis, almost when I was in class, they put me on the corner with a dance class.
Oh, did they?
And then they would send me to a library, and I start reading the papers. The books, and
did they put a dunce hat on you because you were speaking Spanish, or you were misbehaving, or?
More or less misbehaving, I guess I wanted attention.
So you went to high school where?
At Garfield High School.
In East LA?
In East LA. And the very first day that I went to, the principal said that Mr. Hopkins was my principal in grammar school, Mr. Hopkins was my principal in junior high school. And then when I went to the first day I went to school, oh boy, I went there. Oh, the principal called me into the office. Mr. Hopkins was my first principal to begin with, and he said, "Joe, are we going to start the same old game?" I said, "Mr. Hopkins, wait a minute. You never taught me anything. I didn't learn from you." I said, I taught myself to read. I'm not very good at spelling, but to read. And since then, I've been reading.
So when you went to Garfield High School, there was a lot of Mexicans there. You lived in East LA, or where did you live?
Well, no, my father actually, I grew up in the grocery business. And then when I went to Garfield, it was kind of like mixed Mexican and Jewish, and kind of there was no blacks at that time there.
At that school, yeah. So, did you graduate from high school, or?
Yes.
Okay.
I went to first I went to a trade school, and then later on I continued in my school, and also I graduated from Metropolitan High School.
Okay. And what happens after high school?
After high school, I started more or less working at the store, and then that's when I joined the CCC. I spent 3 years in the CCC, and it was in December 7th, I joined, but I didn't go in until, because they sent me a letter saying that they would more or less call me when my turn was, because at that time everybody was going to the military. We have a lot of people who are Mexicanos, but I figure that myself, I ended up in my 13th NAR group headquarters. My commander was Colonel de Bois, Lieutenant Colonel Chisco, Captain Rigger, also Sergeant DePardo, Ronsuli, Riso. And we got close, knitted family, real close. And I was promoted from, first I got promoted to a PFC, and then
I'm sorry, you got drafted into World War II, is that
No,
right?
no.
You enlisted?
I enlisted.
You enlisted, and how old were you when you were enlisted?
I said about maybe right after Pearl Harbor.
Right after Pearl Harbor. And what part of the military are you in?
Anti-aircraft group headquarters.
An aircraft.
Anti-aircraft
Anti-aircraft
group headquarters.
group headquarters. And is that the Army or?
It's one of the units that we controlled the anti-aircraft. That means the big guns. We control that, and we was trained on all kinds of weapons, including the 45, the Thompson machine gun. We trained on all this.
Mm-hmm. So you were in the Army or the Navy?
It was Army.
In the Army. Okay, good.
I got my basic training at Fort Stewart, Georgia. They sent me to a cooks and baker school because I figured that at that time, more or less, you didn't get a chance to say where they just
put you there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay, and so you're there for how long?
6 months.
Georgia. 6 months.
Or less.
Yeah. And then they send you where?
Went back to my unit. We finished our basic training, and after that, we actually that's when we started doing a lot of walking, a lot of training, a lot of travel walking. And after that, we completed our training, and they sent us from Fort Stewart, Georgia, to Chicago, and by train. And we ended up in Pittsburgh, California.
Pittsburgh, okay. And then from Pittsburgh, what happens?
They sent us by boat, and we had the decks were divided. We was up on the top deck. The blacks we had a battalion of more or less heavy duty weapons, and we went to what's the name of the place that we went to in the Pacific Ocean. I can't remember that place, but anyway, we ended up in the Pacific Ocean. And we started getting more training there, and then we actually from that point we went to what they call Green Island. In Green Island, we had two more or less two small units that we belonged to, and we had there was a lot of training around, a lot of battles around us, and this in particular one, we had two airstrips, and they were coming from one of the battles, and they only had enough gas on the planes to make it to our unit, but they couldn't get it in so much that we lost at least 20 firefighters. They went there, but they never bothered to look for them because it was too deep.
Yeah, they died in the Pacific.
Mm-hmm.
Did you experience any discrimination when you were in the military?
No.
No. There was a lot of Mexicans.
Well, do you know what? There's like I had that one book that I was going to bring The book assures you that this whole book has to do with a battalion of Mexicanos that served in World War II. They were all Mexican.
Mm-hmm.
And but there was other units that were like they call it the Big Red One, Mexican from Texas. They were infantry, and they were more or less. Myself, we did see some combat, but it was far. And our main thing is that the only thing we had was bomb raids, because that's what we were there for. But we was a headquarters, so we had several gun battalions underneath that.
Mm-hmm. And so did you, were you out in the battlefield, or?
Well, like I said, we don't go to battle. We don't go. We stay over here, and we protect the bases.
Mm-hmm. So you didn't get to see any bloodshed, or?
Not really. We did. The first year that we was over there, I have it on in file. We got a letter that the commander puts out and said, "Today we've been 1 year here. We experienced," and he says, "we lost a few, and hopefully that the replacement will become part of the family, because we were like a family."
Mm-hmm.
More or less like that sitcom that they have on TV. Mm-hmm. More or less. And myself, that from day one they kind of look out after me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so how long were you in the Army for?
I started at the age of 7. I got the bug because we was having a 4th of July parade, and I started running by them. My mother cut me out, and then the son, "You want to go?" "Yeah, I want to go with you." I spent the rest of the day there, and that was the beginning of my military career, more or less.
When you were 7, and you saw that 4th of July parade. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what happens after your service in World War II? What you come where? Where did you end up?
After after when I came back, my father my father died very, very young. I was very close to my father, and my mother. In fact, I was very close to my whole family. But when my father died, the government actually took all his land, his cars, and everything. Because my father bought land in Palm Springs when it was very, very low. They took all that. They only left us one truck, and the house. And my sister. My father lost the store, but then my older sister opened the store up again, and she became very, very. I come from a very industrial family.
And your father, you said he passed away. How did he pass away?
Well, see, we had a dam right on top of us in Alhambra, and every time that it rained, they would flood us because we was down in a little valley, and he got caught on a real bad rain, so he then he lost everything. When he passed away, I was not with him, but they had taken him to the hospital.
Yeah.
And I guess he had a stroke or something, and he passed away.
Okay. How old were you?
When that happened,
Yeah.
maybe about 17 years old.
17. Okay, so you get back from the army, and where did you end up?
My sister had opened up the store again.
Uh-huh.
She had the store. I started working with her, and she was telling me what she wanted me to do. And then there was this one baker. He delivered bread. He used to deliver to our store. And he said, "You looking for a job?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Go down there. There's a base close by there, Shelley Air Force Base." And then I went over there, and I applied for a job. I said, then they asked me, "Do you know anybody in here?" "Yeah, I know my commander, one of my officers." So, oh yeah, so he happened to be in charge of the base. He came, they called him. Well, he jumped over the counter and, "Hey, you looking for a job?" Boom, I was in, and that's how I got started
Yeah, so that's where you started working at the base
with the government.
with the government. What base was that?
Shelley Air Force Base. Incidentally, we just had a big meeting of old soldiers. I was the older. That's a couple of weeks ago, right next to it.
Oh, nice. Okay, and so when did you get married?
I got married Christmas Eve, 1941.
And then you start having a family right after?
Yeah, my oldest daughter just passed away a few months ago.
And where did you live?
I lived in East LA.
And you said when did you make your way to Sacramento?
1958.
1958. And you've lived here ever since?
What's that?
You've lived in Sacramento ever since?
Yes, I've lived in Sacramento. When I came out of the army in 1945, I bought two houses, and then I turned them over to my sister. She fixed them. She sold them before she passed away, and then I came to Sacramento, and I said to myself, "Boy, I got a bonanza here," because the economy was way down low, and I bought one house for $12,000, and then I started buying property, one right after another. I ended up with about maybe, I don't know, 10 or 15 properties, and I turned over and gave them to my grandchildren.
That's great. That's great. Is there anything you want us to know about your service?
Well, when I came out of the army, I joined the National Guard, and then I stayed with the program until I put in 68 years, including the 4th Armored Division, the 13th and the 4th Armored Division, and the 32nd Supply, and the 1st Infantry. I joined all those. I put my time in, and I was promoted from in the beginning of I was promoted from a technician, 5th grade, in 5 years, and 4 years that, and then after that, I retired as a sergeant first class.
Sergeant first class. Okay, is there anything you want to tell young people who? Oh, you said you had a son that was in the army, or
Yes, he was also
in Vietnam.
in Vietnam. Yeah.
And just one son that went in, or
Only one son, but I also worked for at McConnell Field. I volunteered to go to Vietnam, and my son came right behind me at the same place, and he was in the infantry, and also he did very well, and then also he got wounded, and also he ended up in what they call Nha Trang in Vietnam, and he was also decorated there.
Decorated?
My son, yeah.
Yeah. So did you encourage him to join?
Well, my son actually, when he was growing up, right there in Sacramento, he hung around with about maybe two or three guys that they were together all the time. And one day he came and said, "Dad, I don't know what I'm going to do." I said, "Well," and he told me, "I want to join the Army." I said, "Are you sure?" Yeah. So I took him to the recruiting station, and they shipped him to Washington D.C. But he finished his basic, and then he said, "Dad, they're going to send me to Vietnam." And I said, "I told you it wasn't fun." So he got to Vietnam. He ended up with what was it? 37, 199 infantry, and he retired as a first sergeant.
Mm-hmm. So was it? How did you feel about your son joining?
Well, we come from a long line of soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
My brother was in. My oldest brother was in. I was in. My younger brother was in. My other brother was in the Navy, and we have a lot of relatives that have always been
in the military.
In the military.
So for you, for your family, do you think it's helped you like achieve success or the American dream, or do you think it's a positive thing for your family, or how would you?
Well, we actually have a lot of military besides my family that married into the family. We have a lot of people that came from Arkansas, Oklahoma. They moved they were close to those bases, so they came over here.
Mm-hmm.
And they rented from me.
Mm-hmm.
And they grew up, and they had children, and they're also military. And on top of that, as my son, North Sacramento was actually a city in itself. And my son married the sister of the chief of police. And he has children who are Marines, and they were attached to the military. And I can go on and on of that we have a history of military.
Yeah. And so, is there anything you would like to tell young people who are interested in joining, or what would you tell them? What advice would you give them?
There's life itself has children that were born. They don't know who their parents are. They were raised in the street and juvenile and in the parole system. And then we have older people who actually were nobody to take care of them, to look after them. So I help on that. And also we have the homeless problem.
Mm-hmm.
and since I went to Roosevelt, President Roosevelt built that program of the CCC. That was to create jobs for people like myself, and that's what I've been doing.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you. Thank you for your service.
I'll accept it on behalf of the boys we left behind.